How's it going today, guys? Here are 6 tips to making sure that your customers pay you on time. Tip number 1 is the most effective. It'll forever be the most effective. Have a strong collection specialist. No, this doesn't mean you literally have to hire someone with a title collection specialist, but have an accounts receivable person who is a guru at collecting, or you yourself get good at collections. It will forever be the most effective way to collect, because if you can write a strongly worded email or be very, very convincing over the phone, that's the most surefire way to get the money into your pocket. If you want tips on collections itself, I've done a few pieces of content on it specifically, so feel free to look that up. Number 2, I'm personally not a huge fan of this one, but you can always offer a discount to those who pay early. So let's just say you grant somebody 30-day terms. Basically, you give them a 2% discount if they pay within the first 10 days, or if they pay within then 11 to 30. It's just the normal balance. This incentivizes customers to not only pay on time, but to pay early because they're getting a monetary discount for doing so. I'm not a huge fan of this method strictly because I don't like cutting into my profit margin at all. So what I would recommend doing if you know somebody is going to, if you're going to offer this method and you know that a customer is going to take you up on it, try to mark their product up 2% in the first place so that you're not seeing any sort of a deficit on the bottom line from making this decision. Tip number 3, the least effective on the entire list, but some people go by it, so I have to talk about it. You can charge a penalty for customers who pay late. So say you have 30-day payment terms and they pay in 40, you can charge a certain percent for each day that they're late. I cannot stand this. In my career, 99.999% of the time, I've never personally done it, but I know people who have, this balance ends up getting written off. No customer is going to pay you this amount and it just winds up being a waste of your time, but it can incentivize people to pay on time because they may be worried about incurring said fee. 4, this is for people that do not have the funds to pay you immediately and maybe ran into collections issues on their side so they don't have the cash today. Try to set up a payment plan with them. I know that it's not getting you your money on time, but getting paid any bit of money is better, or in any increment of time is better than not getting paid at all. So here's an example. Let's say a customer owes you $10,000 and they're running into cash issues on their end. What I would recommend is saying, hey, get on the phone with them and say, hey, I know that you have this $10,000 balance open. I understand you're running into struggles. Would you be willing to pay $2,500 a month for the next 4 months as opposed to the $10,000 up front, just so we can see something, we can see that you guys are actively trying to pay, but it gives you more time to get your stuff figured out. This one showcases that you're willing to work, which puts you in a much better position in the customer's eyes and puts you on top of their to-do list in paying because you're willing to work with them. And 2, it gets you paid. As I said before, getting paid any amount or in any amount of time is better than not getting paid at all. So extending the olive branch is always a beneficial route. Number 5. This is my favorite one because it's the one that most people are scared to do. If a customer is consistently paying you late and is just a thorn in your side, stop sending them products or stop providing them with a service. Cut them off. Why this is effective is because you will see firsthand how bad they actually need you, and you'll see how quickly that tone of we can't pay you on time or we're running into issues changes when you stop providing them with the service or product that you provide them with. I'll share a quick story about this. I'll actually name names because fuck it, who cares? GE is the worst. They are the black hole from a collections perspective in the manufacturing sector. They are just the worst to have pay you on time. They try to dictate their terms. They basically have BDE. And if you don't know what that is, look it up because I'm not going to say it in the video, but they have BDE to their entire vendor base. They basically say, this is when we're going to pay you, this is how we're going to pay you, and fall in line. I've never been a fan of this. And very early on in my career, I'll say this was my first, I think it was my first accounting manager role. So there was a CFO at the company, but I basically said, hey, this is where we're at, this is my recommendation. And he listened and it paid dividends. So GE was just a pain in the ass to collect from. They weren't paying us balances due to no fault of our own. They were having internal issues on their end of receipts, even though we could provide everything that they could have asked for to prove that the product got there and that the product was good. So I made the executive decision to say, or I didn't make the executive decision, but I made the suggestion of, why don't we just cut them off? And my boss was like, well, it's GE. And I was, they were a large customer. They were a large percentage of the sales of the company. But I said, like I mentioned earlier, a non-paying customer is not a customer at all. And he made the executive decision to say, yeah, let's do it. Within 24 hours, GE was on the phone with us. What the hell are you guys doing? And I was like, well, hey, they haven't responded to any emails, for 40, 50 days. They hadn't responded to salespeople reaching out, me reaching out. They hadn't answered their phones. Like, none of their collection centers are giving me any sort of data or anything like that or insight into when they were going to pay us. And now they're on the phone asking what the hell's going on. So I told them point blank, you guys owe us this balance. You guys are this far past due, and we're not shipping you one literal piece of product until this is paid. We had payment within the next 24 hours. So within shutting them down, within 48 hours, we literally had payment in full. And from then on, they would not pay us late because they knew that we would shut them down, essentially. People are too scared, in my opinion, to cut off big fish. But at the end of the day, small fish need to make a stand and stand up for themselves. And you can't let people walk over you. And if you have a product that is absolutely integral, like with GE, the healthcare space, so we were dealing with their medical division, they have to go through a strenuous process to be able to manufacture and then sell their products. Not many people know that, but basically every single component, even the freaking, nuts and bolts, have to be approved in order to be able to sell into that space. And I knew that. So that's why I understood the magnitude of what our product was. And it's not like if we shut them down and if we stop sending them, they can just go to Lowe's and get a different product. Because as I said, we weren't selling them nuts and bolts, but even the nuts and bolts have to be pre-approved. So they can't just go use someone else. They'd have to literally go through the entire approval process again and get that specific nut and bolt reapproved, which can take months, which they never want to do because that's absolutely chaotic. So knowing this, you have to understand that you are providing a service and never be afraid to take that step because you have to be able to put your foot down in order to ensure that you get paid on time sometimes. Sometimes it's necessary. So last but not least, if you've exhausted all options, you've shut them down, you're not delivering them product, you've called them, you've emailed them, you've offered payment plan, the whole nine, and you can't get a customer to pay you on time, send them to collections. Fuck it, write it off the books, it's done, it's over with, and do not treat it like an abusive relationship. Never grant them terms again. I can't stand, I've seen this far too often where a company will restructure or they'll apologize or pay a certain balance and then be like, well, we want terms again. Never give a customer who has at one time failed and you've had to send to collections payment terms ever again. Payment terms are a luxury, and I think that's important to realize. You're not required to give out payment terms. That is literally you letting somebody else borrow your money for 30 days, 40 days, 60 days. If you had a friend in your own life who you consistently lent money to and never paid you back, why would you continue to lend them money? Business is no different. Now, I'm not saying you have to cut this customer off completely because maybe you have a product that they need and hey, you still want obviously to sell as much product as you can. What I recommend doing if they come back to you is saying, hey, sounds good, we'll work with you again, but you have to pay in advance. And there's no negotiating from that point. And you would be surprised how willing customers are to take you up on that if you have a unique product. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was insightful. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.